A leaked report from the EU's anti-fraud watchdog OLAF has revealed troubling allegations that the EU border agency Frontex was involved in covering up crimes committed by Greece against migrants. Rights groups have long warned of Greece's illegal pushback of migrants, especially in the Aegean Sea. The 123-page heavily redacted report details how top managers at Frontex committed serious misconduct, from covering up incidents to not investigating serious claims of abuse. It also outlined exactly how the Greek Coast Guard put migrants on life rafts before letting them drift at sea. The report added that Frontex may have failed to report such abuses due to fear of reprisals from Greece. According to both EU and international law, pushbacks are defined as the forcible return of people across international borders without assessing their rights to asylum. Turkiye has long warned of Greece's illegal actions towards migrants and has directly appealed to the European Union about the abuses. And for more on what impact the OLAF report could have, I'm joined by Klaus Jurgens. He is a political analyst joining me from Istanbul, and by Acar. He is a professor of international law at Yıldırım Beyazıt University in Ankara. A warm welcome to you both. Thanks for joining me on Straight Talk. I just want to begin with remarks from a member of the European Parliament, Tineke Strik, who has long been vocal critic of both Frontex and Greece's actions against migrants. Let's have a listen now.
Today we can finally speak freely about the way Frontex was covering up pushbacks, despite all attempts to keep it secret. Reported violations were disregarded, fundamental rights watchdogs were sidelined, the Parliament was lied to.
So, Klaus, has the European Parliament been lied to? What was the immediate reaction to this report across Europe?
Yes, indeed, the European Parliament has been lied to, and it has a unique chance now to really fulfill the role it always wanted to fulfill, not only to vote about Commission papers or what the Council says and debate it, but actually be really part of the decision-making and co-decision-making process. The European Parliament has been lied about what went on with illegal migrant pushbacks, and Frontex has lied to the European Parliament. It all started over 2 years ago, when first analysts say that Frontex is no longer living up to its actual task. Only replacing the head or the boss would not be enough. You really have to restructure Frontex. Now, Frontex 2 years later says we have actually done this. The problem is 2 years old and all has changed, but this is too easy. Frontex really committed a big mistake, lied to the Parliament, and by thus doing, lied to the entire European public.
So, Acar, Tineke Strik's speech at the Parliament received some criticism, with voices urging her to ask Turkiye first not to allow asylum seekers to not leave its borders. Is this in line with the EU or international law?
Actually, these kind of issues are quite sensitive because the fundamental rights of illegal immigrants are always at stake. So any request from Turkey to keep these people inside Turkey is not in relation with any legal obligation. Turkey and EU started to negotiate to establish a readmission agreement starting in 2014. So it was inside the process of visa exemption process. Unfortunately, European Union could not, live up to its own obligations to establish this visa exemption for Turkish citizens. And then this readmission agreement was not put into practice because of these European Union, shortcomings. That's why there is no legal obligation on Turkey to try to keep these people from leaving Turkey. So Greece and some other European countries bordering the sea that Turkey also borders are all safe countries. Then the refugees or asylum seekers, how to say, these are actually called illegal immigrants, but they are asylum seekers. So they can choose to go to these countries if they wish to go.
So before we move on further, I just want to read directly from the leaked report about the EU's border agency's alleged wrongdoings. It says the agency found evidence in support of allegations of fundamental rights violations in member states with which it had a joint operation, but failed to address and follow up on these violations promptly, vigilantly and effectively. As a result, Frontex did not prevent these violations nor reduce the risk of future fundamental rights violations. So, Klaus, Frontex has responded to the report by saying these were practices of the past. How realistic is this, and have all illegal pushbacks and misconducts been seized since then?
Well, that's what I referred to earlier. Yes, Aisha. This is, I think, a ridiculous statement, because illegal pushbacks continue to happen, and Frontex must know about it. It is not an agency sitting somewhere near the place Klaus Schumann in Brussels and has no clue what is happening at the actual external borders. They still know about it, and they still turn a blind eye. What is happening from the side of Greece is unacceptable. It is against human rights. There are still clear violations, and someone is going to watch it. Now, Frontex, I'm not saying it has no validity. Of course, you need external border controls, in particular in this new geopolitical reality as well. But it should not help one of its member states to cover up illegal action. I'm so happy OLAF is finally stepping in. OLAF is normally chasing fraudsters in government circles or company or business circles who take European Union money and they say we spend it for A or B, and then they spend it for C or D or don't spend it at all. This is what made OLAF tick. Now finally they take on board a totally new dimension by looking into what happens with the illegal migrant pushbacks. I think this is a step in the right direction.
So the European lawmakers have recently voted against the approval of the 2020 budget of the Frontex over serious misconduct allegations. How significant is this, and should Frontex come under scrutiny by both European Parliament and the European Commission?
Definitely. It's not only OLAF looking at these events. Some of the events were taken to the European Court of Human Rights last year. And then the court decided in June of this year that Greece violated Article 2 and Article 3 of the European Human Rights Convention, which refers to the right to life and right to not to be tortured or treated, inhumanly. So these are quite clear, actions that violating the fundamental rights of, asylum seekers. This is being the case. The European Union, with its own institutions, should try to correct what's the misconducts of Frontex, especially because it's carrying out very sensitive tasks to protect the European borders. And so that's why there should be some serious measures against Frontex, not to see the same serious human rights violations in the future in the Aegean Sea, especially because there are many asylum seekers passing through this area.
So I just want to go back to OLAF's report, which provided details of what exactly Greece was doing. It said, in early March 2020, the Greek Coast Guards allegedly stopped the boat with almost 50 persons on board and removed the fuel, leaving the migrants and boat to float about aimlessly. Moreover, since the delegation's visit, credible allegations have emerged of migrants having reached the island of Samos from Turkey by boat before being re-embarked on a dinghy by Greek officers and towed by a Greek Coast Guard vessel back to Turkish waters, where they were allegedly left adrift overnight until recovered by the Turkish Coast Guard on the afternoon of the following day. So, Klaus, will the European Parliament open a legal proceeding against the Greek government for violating the EU laws, or it is going to look the other way?
It should actually do. When EU law is being violated, there is one watchdog, fair enough, but the European Parliament, by definition, is a watchdog as well. The Commission is initiating EU law. The Council very often is deciding about it, but the European Parliament, as I've mentioned, has this co-decision powers. Now, they could start a proceeding against one of the member states when EU law was clearly violated. There are different cases. Think about Poland and constitutional changes. But Greek violating EU law is just another case. Yes, something has to be done.
Yeah.
If you are part of a club, if you are part of the bloc, you have to abide by EU law, and you can change it. You can try to make it better. But this is so much anti-human rights, so much illegal. And when I see these poor people being pushed back instead of being granted leave to remain on Samos, on Lesbos, on wherever they are, and then proceed their applications, but not putting them back into the water as if they were toys or anything. Now, this is absolutely, it has to stop, and someone must tell Athens the truth. It can't go on.
So, Yücel, do you think from now on Turkey's warnings about these violations will be taken seriously?
I think it has been Turkey principally following these events and telling the international community that there are many misconducts against the asylum seekers in the agency, because there are many eyewitnesses telling the stories to Turkish coast guards when they return back, or there are surveillance from Turkish side to see what's happening in the agency concerning these asylum seekers. So that's why Turkey tried to inform not only the European countries, but also the international community that, the life of these people, some of them are very young people and children as well, they are facing very serious misconducts, that they are losing their life and they are getting injured, all these kind of events.
Yes.
So I think from now on, since there are many internationally impartial reports from Human Rights Watch, for example, from the European Court of Human Rights, and recently from OLAF, then from now on, I think Turkey would be following as well what's happening after these reports are issued, and some European Union institutions are taking necessary measures against Frontex,
yes,
in general, and against Greece in particular.
All right, gentlemen, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.